Uh, Hi, today's video for YouTube we are going to discuss about Hibernate framework. We all know the Hibernate framework is object relational mapping framework. It is a tool for Java programming language. Basically, whenever you are developing an application, you want to map the data to particular POJO, right? How do you do that? You can do that using Hibernate ORM framework. Hibernate ORM framework is most widely used framework across the industry. If you see it, Hibernate handles the object relational impedance mismatch problems by replacing a direct persistence database accesses. See, the control will go to the developer. The control goes from data layer to application layer. So whenever you want to perform some transactions, ACID transactions, you can handle that through application layer. So because you are mapping all the data to basically to the POJO or not the data layer. You can see here. I'm going to explain how you're going to do that. See, the mapping of Java classes to database tables is implemented by the configuration of XML file or by using Java annotations. You can either use XML file configuration or Java annotations. Both are there. I'm going to explain that. There are many ways you can map the data: one to many, many to many, many to one. Okay, there are four combinations, right? One to many to one, many to many. Okay, so you can achieve multiple combinations of mapping of the data. What do you mean by one to many? You see, there is a person class. A person can have multiple phone numbers, right? So how do you establish the relationship in the database? You can actually use the foreign key relationship. In the same way, using a Hibernate also, it will provide you all the foreign key relationship related mappings. That is nothing but one to mapping, many to mapping. One class may contain multiple classes of dependencies, or many classes may contain multiple dependencies. That is possible. You can see that there, right? And Hibernate supports the mapping of custom values. This makes the following scenario possible. You see here Hibernate query language. Hibernate query language is just like a SQL query language, but this query language is used to define the SQL like queries against Hibernate's data objects. Okay, I will explain you the simple example also. First, just understand this theory part. You can see here let's say I want to map a employee data to particular POJO, employee POJO, right? I need to retrieve the data of only employee ID and employee name. I don't require all other things. So the Hibernate query, HQL query would be useful for you, where you can actually write a custom query. You can define a custom queries. You can write a native queries also using HQL. HQL supports multiple ways of writing a SQL queries so that you can fetch the data and map the data to POJOs. Okay, persistence. What is the persistence? Hibernate provides a transparent persistent plain Java objects, POJO. Okay, POJO. How do you map the data? How do you map the data? See, collection of data objects are typically stored in Java collection classes, right? Collection of data such as implementation of set, list, interfaces. Okay, you can actually see that scenario. You can store the data in the form of POJO, and the POJOs may contain the list or set or map as attributes of data. You can actually do that. Okay, and Hibernate also provide, it can be configured to lazy load associated collections. A lazy load is nothing but when you want to load a data, you want to load a data on demand basis, right? Only the required part, not all the data, right? So you can actually do that. You can configure that. And there is a cascade concept in Hibernate where if one Pojo gets updated, the respective referenced Pojos also needs to be updated or deleted. You can do that. You can achieve that, right? For cascading scenarios, you can achieve using a Hibernate. You see, how do you integrate? You can, Hibernate can be used for both standalone Java and enterprise applications. If you are using the Spring framework or Spring Boot, you need to add a dependencies. There are starter dependencies are there. You can do that. Um, okay, see, application programming interface. You can see here. I'm not going into in depth of the how the Hibernate session implemented and how you are going to do the transactions. I'm not going to explain that, but high level you see that this is the scenario. Okay, so you can see there are many concepts of Hibernate, but high level Hibernate is a very good framework where you can map the database table data to the POJOs, keeping all the acid properties, acid transaction scenarios, features applicable to the your Java framework POJOs. You can handle all these scenarios at application level rather than at data layer level, because developer will have the custom, they will have the ownership of handling the data. So it is, in my opinion, Hibernate is a little bit it's okay. I mean, you can use the Hibernate. It is good if you want to use Hibernate. Okay, so I'm going to jump to the other topic. There is a IBATIS framework. You can see here. Okay, before that I'm going to explain it. See, I want to explain HSQLDB. HSQLDB is an in-memory database. It is written in Java. See, if you want to do some R&D and if you want to implement proof of concepts of Java applications, you can do that using HSQL database. Okay, you see that there, and HSQL database basically supports all the SQL-like queries, and you can do, it is a type of RDBMS. You can actually implement a application and research for the research purpose, basically for R&D purpose, for faster development you can use it, but it is in memory. There are some limitations. So this is not full-fledged RDBMS, but most of the features of RDBMS are supported by this HSQL database. You can see transaction support is there. Okay, data storage, it has two main tables used for durable read and write data storage. The transaction has been committed, it is guaranteed that the data will survive system failure. So this HSQL DB, you can use it as a server mode or or in-memory type. Both the options are supported with HSQL database. Okay, but it most of the developers, they use it for in-memory database as in-memory database. Okay, SQL features they are almost supported. Just like RDBMS, but there are few limitations in this HSQL database. Okay, HSQL database is a very good database. You can use it for the local development, for R&D, for implementing proof of concepts and all. Okay, there is another framework just like a Hibernate, that is a IBATIS framework. IBATIS framework is also object relational mapping related framework where you actually map the database tables to the Java POJO. Okay, what you are going to do here, you are going to map all the data to the database table, but here unlike Hibernate, it is a different. IBAT is a different, right? So you are going to configure all your SQL queries in a configuration file. Okay, simple configuration file, and you are going to map each and every particular class to the particular query data. Okay, So Hibernate is different from the Hibernate. You want to implement some complex queries, complex queries that involves multiple joins and logics. If you want to do that in Hibernate, it will be a little bit complex, right? But Hibernate provides you the straightforward approach of doing it, which is why sometimes the people will choose the Hibernate. You can see here both other persistent frameworks such as Hibernate allows the creation of object model by the user and maintain the relational database automatically. Hibernate takes the reverse approach. The developer starts with the SQL database and Hibernate automatically creates the Java objects. Getting it right? You see, if the developer is very good at SQL and if they want to implement complex queries, first they'll start with the SQL database, right? The queries, and IBAT is what it will map the data to corresponding Java objects. But in Hibernate it is different. First you will focus on the Java, later part you will write the queries. But Hibernate is a reverse approach. First you look into the SQL part and then you will go for Java. Okay, and Hibernate is a good choice when the developer does not have full control over the SQL database schema. For example, application may need to access an existing SQL database used by other software, access a new database whose schema is not fully under application developer control. Such means specialized database design teams has created the schema carefully optimized for high performance. You see, application may need to access existing SQL database. What is telling here, Hibernate is a good choice when developer does not have full control over the SQL database, because you can write your own queries in Hibernate actually. That is true, you can actually do that. Okay, example, how do we use the Hibernate? You see here, first we are going to concentrate on the SQL query part as we discussed, right? You can see we need to Hibernate XML mapping file. The first thing is to read the product record having the product key into the product POJO. The following mapping is to be added in the Hibernate XML file. Generally Hibernate will have first we need to create Hibernate XML mapping configuration. That XML mapping file will contain all the select queries and respective POJO mapping to the particular query data. For example, you see here the result class. What is the POJO that we are mapping here? The POJO is com.example.product. So product class is going to be mapped with this particular query data. What is this SQL query is written? It is written product ID, product description. So your product POJO is going to have these attributes, and immediately the data will be mapped to that there. So you can see here, okay, and how you are going to get the data. See, a new Java product object can then be retrieved from the database for the product number. You can see how we are going to retrieve it. Product space result product equal to SQL map client query for object get product 1 2 3. Okay, so that way you can use Hibernate. So there are so many frameworks for ORM scenario. If you consider the ORM scenario, mostly the Hibernate is going to be used as a standard framework. Okay, as a standard framework it is going to be used. Most of the companies, they are preferring the standard framework, and a few companies they are still using Hibernate because the developer, they can write the complex queries. They can actually do the data intensive related application. They can do it. Okay, so that is about the Hibernate. And other thing is Jackson. I think Jackson is the framework. It is a library. If you want to deal with the JSON data, Jackson would be very useful. You can actually um, process JSON object. You see what we are doing. We have taken a object mapper equal to new object mapper, and then there is a JSON object in the form of string. You see, string JSON input equal to ID, first name, and last name. Okay, I want to convert this string type of JSON into the object of Pojo. Right, there is a person object. You can see what we are going to do. We are going to read this string and we are mapping this data, JSON data, to that Pojo explicitly. If I want to do that, Jackson, what we are doing here, we are actually mapping this particular JSON to object, and we can do the reverse also, vice versa. That is the most of the projects we have used this Jackson library for dealing with the JSON whenever we are writing some Java logic for kind of automation, some other stuff, or you are getting a data in the form of JSON, you want to map that to Pojo. You can also do that if you are not using a Hibernate something. Let's say if you are using standalone Java program, Java applications, then you go for Jackson also if you want to map data to Pojo. Okay, and other thing is Java FX. We all know about the Swing framework, Java Swings. If we want to create a desktop-based application, so Java Swing is one of the good feature. Now Java FX was introduced to support the desktop application as well as web application. It is having a rich set of features, and you can actually implement the desktop applications. So you can actually bring multiple interactive applications. See, I think it was released JDK 11 in 2008. Oracle made Java FX part of Open JDK. Okay, so Java FX is nothing but Swing, Java Swing kind of framework. It is extension to the Java Swings, where you can actually develop desktop-based applications, interactive applications, and it will be useful for you. Okay. Java FX Mobile was the implementation Java FX platform, rich web application, 3D scenarios, web view, okay, embedded web browser components. So you can actually, it is having very rich features. You can go through it and you can see how we are going to utilize a simple button. Example, here we are going to create a button equal to new button of click me, button dot on set on action. We are calling so there is an action event, right? An action, we are going to print hello from Java FX. You see stack root, some stack pan. This is also a kind of element for desktop applications. So just like we are having a pan, multiple pans, multiple menus, multiple buttons. Just like that, stack pan is one of the component here. You can see scene, and we are setting a title for pan. You are setting a title and scene. So button, stack pan. Okay, we are giving a name for that. So Java FX components, you see there are many components for Java FX. Okay, you see Java FX dot base, Java FX controls, Java FX data, graphics, media, Java FX dot swing. You see defines the Java FX swing interop supports APIs for the Java FX UI. Okay, so many things are there. It was released in 2000, released on March 18, 2014. Okay. Okay, this is a Java FX related things. If you want to use Java Swings, you can use it. If you want to go for more interactive and beautiful components, okay, very good animation, graphics. If you want more animation, graphics, more interactiveness, if you want to beautify your desktop application with a rich set of components, elements, buttons, so many things you want to achieve, then we go for JavaFX. Okay, you can use that. Okay, the other thing is JAXP. Most of the enterprise applications they will use JAXP. If you see any application that were developed in 90s and 2000s, right? They have used JAXP. Okay, JAXP is a software firm that allows you enterprise application Java developers to map Java classes to XML representation. Okay, so you got it right. So XML representation, JAXP is very important. Earlier days, SOAP web service. Have you heard about SOAP web services? What they will do, they will deal with the XML data, right? Those web services they actually provide the response in the form of XML. So if you want to map the Marshall XML or unmarshal XML, how do you do that? You can actually utilize this JAXB. JAXB is the framework. It is a library. It's a very good library. Most of the developers they are still using a JAXB. It is unbeatable. You see, ability to marshal Java objects into XML and inverse, unmarshal. Marshalling and unmarshalling. What do you call? Marshalling the Java object means you are going to map your Java object data to particular XML. Unmarshalling means you are going to map the XML data back to Java object. Okay. This is a reverse. You see, I am going to explain the simple example here. Okay, there is no Java class, but you see here we are going to use bind annotation x. Simple, we will use at the rate XML elements. So there are so many annotations actually. Uh, you see, WSDL file also supported. They're telling WSDL file DTD document type definition or WSDL file web service description language, right? I think WSDL file has told you when you are going to build a SOAP web services, you need a WSDL file. We're going to discuss that. Okay. So you see XSD types, the table below. You want to map particular data to XSD. So XSD schema definition, right? You need to have a data types for different kinds of data. So it supports the string, integer, positive integer, int, long, short, decimal, float. You see date time, hex binary, unassigned integer. So many time, date, so many things are there. You can see it here. All these are supported. All these are beautifully supported. Just like Trump is beautifully ruling America. Okay. Uh, and what did we see here? Nothing. Okay. There's so many frameworks. For so far, we discussed about these frameworks. I hope you understood the topics well. I hope this video would be helpful for you. Thank you for listening.